It's As Goes Israel, So Goes the World with world-renowned author, speaker, and dear friend, Avi Lipkin. How are you, Avi?
Terrific. Praise God. Good to be with you every week.
Always good to be with you, my man. Can't wait till you come to the States. And
Yeah.
more and more people that I know are voicing interest in having you, as they should. We should pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We should pray for Israel, the apple of God's eye. And you've been busy this week with lots of Zoom calls. So much has come to light in the corruption with the Democrat Party and the rhinos. Oh my gosh. How do you know the difference between real news and fake news? We know that Elon Musk is doing a lot of investigation with Doge, a lot of resistance. Pay attention to who resists being investigated. I've always told people, on a private level, if someone gets upset at a question, that's a red flag. You can ask me any question you want. Most likely, I'll just be happy to answer you. But Avi, what are some of the findings that you have found substantiated in your research this week?
Well, I think that, we all knew, even, during the Biden administration, we all knew that billions of dollars had been given over to Iran.
Right.
And, but what happened was, and we also knew that Iran was taking the billions of dollars and then sending it out to the proxies to
Right.
attack Israel.
Right.
The war with Gaza was funded in great part by Iran. Gaza was taking orders from Iran. Lebanon, Hezbollah was taking orders from Iran. Um, by the way, I just saw now, I got an email that if Israel renews the attack on Gaza, the Houthi missiles are going to be fired at Israel again.
Right.
So we're expecting a barrage of Houthi missiles. All of this is in conjunction with Iran. So all this we knew. But what came out now was how a U.S. aid organization was sending billions of dollars to terrorist
Oh yeah.
organizations. It's not to Iran. So it gets more and more ugly to see how deep in the mud, in the deep state, the Biden administration was. And I cannot stop praising the victory of President Trump at the polls. And here you have the example where, I hate to use the word pussyfooting, but Biden was pussyfooting with the terrorists in Gaza. And then comes Trump and says, hey, you release them or all hell will break loose.
Right.
And they started releasing them, the hostages. So I'm watching these things very carefully. I'm an old man, I'm 76, but I don't forget anything. I'm like an elephant. And I remember everything, or almost everything. What was my wife's name? Okay. Anyways,
You better get that one right.
by the, by the way, you said when you ask somebody a question and they get all upset, then that's a red flag. My wife, every question I ask her. So that's the way it's been for 50 years.
You did not ask that question. Avi likes to tease me about my German heritage before we go on, and it's an anomaly to a lot of folks, Avi, the love we have for each other. You're a Christian. I'm a follower of Yeshua or Jesus, and yeah, we love each other and support each other as we should. It's like you said before. I think one time you mentioned to your beloved, you said, yeah, the Gentiles, and she corrected you in regards to believers in Jesus as being Gentiles. And that
Right.
was quite a moment there. You want to repeat that one?
Well, sure. What happened was she asked me why I left America. This is 55 years ago.
Mm.
And I said, because the Gentiles hate us. And she said, who are the Gentiles? I said, the Christians. And my wife said to me, you don't know anything. The Christians and Jews are one people. We are the people of the book. The Gentiles are the pagans. So never say that you're a Gentile. I go to churches and the pastors say, we welcome our Jewish brother and we pagans, said, you're saying you're pagans? If you say you're Gentiles, you're pagans.
Oh
And
wow.
The Muslims are pagans. By the way, I love Hindus and Buddhists, etc., but they're pagans. I mean, it doesn't mean they're bad people. They just
Right.
don't have the same God that the Jews and the Christians have.
Well, you know what? And as you so eloquently put it a while back, you're the vine and we're the branches. You know,
And tree cannot survive without either one.
and
And
boy, are we
anyone,
finding that right now. I mean, my goodness, the bullet that we dodged, news coming out about Zelensky not only taking in trillions, apparently only half of what was supposed to go to Ukraine was going to Zelensky, the other half to the Democrat leaders, and then he's selling our arms on top of that. Wow, what a payday. And that's in some of the main headlines, but hey, it's like Pilate asked, what is truth? You've got to do some investigation of your own. And I know that you are diligent in doing that, Avi. With that said, what is the word on the street with Israel right now? Is there optimism? Is there fear, or just the same determination, and readiness that Israel has always maintained?
well, it's a mixed bag because we fought on seven fronts. We are kind of in a ceasefire mode with Gaza. At least we were until today. But if the fighting resumes, because they don't release our people, which is what Trump warned, who's going to do the fighting? America's not going to do the fighting. We don't ask America to send soldiers. We'll do the fighting. But what happens is the seven front war is resumed, and our soldiers are overextended. We have soldiers who've been in the military 300, and in the case of my son Aaron has been mobilized 400 days.
Wow.
And like I mean, I offered to join the army at 76. They said, "Grandpa, go home." But I have a feeling if this continues, they're going to mobilize me too, because things are not good with Israel fighting all along. And Hamas really, really wants. I don't think they have too many hostages left. I think most of them are dead. I think they want to see a renewal of the original plan, which was to get Iran and Lebanon and Israel and Syria and the Houthis in Yemen and Iraq and Judea and Samaria all fighting Israel at the same time.
Right.
So we are now like, in boxing, 15 rounds. So I think we're kind of like in the seventh round.
You
So
know, go ahead. Well, just thinking about that, and Iran's desire for the whole world to come against Israel, very, very interesting. It seems that when the radicals want to declare a global jihad, a lot of the other countries, Muslim countries, like, hey, we kind of like things the way they are. I don't know. I mean, I know that there's an undercurrent of expansion all over the world. I know that when I was a correspondent for Brigitte Gabriel Act for America, doing some counterterrorism material there, that is very common, even to this day, that many are moved over here with terror money. They buy a home, they immediately file for a 501(c)(3), and they begin converting their home into a mosque. Did you know that? It's been going on for a very long time, for decades. Part of the project by the Muslim Brotherhood. And of course, you mentioned Biden. Hadn't been any more in control of this country than he has of his own bodily functions. It's been Obama and Valerie Jarrett and others who have sworn to destroy our country. And I'm amazed that people like Obama seem to be surprised at not only their lack of relevance in our country, but the disdain that is very clear towards them. One would hope they would just move on. But in the meantime, I still see a new optimism, even the day after the Super Bowl, quite a message that was being portrayed, but so many people could not understand the words that I think perhaps the message was lost on 90% of Americans. But this is the first time that blacks, whites, Jews, and some Muslims, as well as Latinos and Asians, voted mostly the same. They were ready
right,
for a change. They're ready for this regime change, this steer away from what was looking like the CCP, of hey, everyone's gay. We own your children, and you shut your mouth and put up with it. Well, America didn't shut their mouth, and they didn't put up with it. I would only hope that there's the same patriotism, positive patriotism in Israel. What are the latest words from Netanyahu in regards to Trump's announcement? And was Saturday a red line, or was it a line in the sand Saturday by noon for the release of the hostages, or was that also fake news?
We don't know. We don't know. The Israeli analysts say that it's just bluster, and that Hamas will give us the scheduled three hostages.
Yeah.
Uh, Not all of them, as Trump is saying, but the deal is between Israel and Hamas, not with Trump. So I don't know how many we will get back, if at all. But again, the first question is: will there be any kind of a hostage exchange, or will there be war this Saturday? And if we're talking about war this Saturday, we're talking about missiles hitting Israel from Yemen and Iran and other countries. We have a problem with Syria that is now, instead of being a fanatic Shiite country under Bashar al-Assad, it's a fanatic Sunni country under Giuliani. And what we see is battles taking place between Syria and Lebanon, between Shiites and Sunnis. They're fighting each other. And, Israel's policy is not to get involved in it as long as they don't bring the fighting to Israel. So all that we shall see. I don't know. I don't want to say I would be happy if three came, but I would be happier if three came instead of nothing coming. I would be happiest if all the hostages came back. The problem is that all these hostages coming back in dribbles, as Trump says, are the insurance certificate for these terrorists. And otherwise, they have nothing. They're finished. And I personally think, that we could and should at some stage take over Gaza completely by military means. At least Biden would not say don't, because Biden was always saying don't. Trump would say go for it, finish it for once.
What do you think about the announcement about America's involvement in Gaza? I personally think it's nothing short of brilliant, but perhaps others may disagree. I'm sure that they do. What saith you?
My personal opinion is I would welcome a 99-year lease to the Americans, kind of like the British did with Hong Kong. Look at the British did Hong Kong. Hong Kong became a jewel. I mean, in the end, after 99 years, the Chinese just took it back.
Right.
But Hong Kong to this day has a separate status regarding China, supposedly. Turkey. Cyprus was actually, I don't know how many of your people know this, but Cyprus was Italian. Cyprus firstly, it was taken over, it was Greek. Then it was Byzantine. Then it was Crusaders. Then
Right.
it was Italians from Genoa and from I'm having a senior moment. Venice. If you go to Cyprus, all the street names are Italian.
Wow.
And, the old city of Nicosia, this is all Italian. When the Catholics, the Genoans and the Venetians and the Spanish navies together sank the entire Turkish fleet in the Battle of Lepanto, the Turks were so angry because Turkey was really the strongest country in the world at the time. And to punish the Turks and the Spaniards, forced them as compensation to completely rebuild the Turkish navy. Hmm. And in addition, they had to cede Cyprus to Turkey's rule. And it was not a Muslim country at all. Cyprus was Italian, Catholic. So you had Greeks who were Greek Orthodox, you had Catholics. And what happened was they signed a lease to the British in 1878 that Cyprus would be a British colony with a 99-year lease.
Wow.
And, the British, of course, turned Cyprus and especially Limassol into a military base for the British. In 1977, uh, Cyprus theoretically was supposed to revert back to Turkish rule, but the history was so mixed, and there were now 500,000 Christians, Greek Christians, living in Cyprus, and the Turks are going crazy because they can't get their island back. From the Turkish point of view, Cyprus belongs to Turkey. Now, what's the problem? The Turks invaded on July 14, 1974. I know this because I was in the Israeli army and we were on alert for a Turkish invasion of Cyprus. And they took 40% of the island in 24 hours. And my Greek Christian friends told me that the Turks could take the rest of the island in one day. My Greek friend was telling me that he looked out the window of his resort hotel area in Kyrenia, in the north of Cyprus, and he saw the whole Turkish fleet. He saw all these red flags of Turkey, and he got his wife in the car and his two kids in pajamas, and they just drove down the mountain towards Nicosia, and they saw the parachutes coming down behind them, Turkish parachutes. And if they had been caught by the Turks, they would have been shot. So I know the fear. I know the reality of the Greeks regarding the Turks. And now there are three problems. And I mean, in the end, this comes back to Gaza. The Turks are saying they want the rest of the island because that was part of the agreement with the British in 1878. They want now the gas. Israel and Cyprus have developed gas, natural gas from the Mediterranean seabed. And the gas is being piped to Greece and then to Italy, which will hopefully help the Europeans with their gas energy shortage because of the Russian blockage. Then there's another problem. The Turks will control the airspace over the Eastern Mediterranean. No Cypriot Israeli plane will be able to take off and land because the Turks are going to control the airspace. If they take Cyprus, Israel, Israel cannot allow the Turks to take Cyprus.
Right.
And one little footnote: the Israeli commandos are in Cyprus. So Turkey is going to get a big fight if they try to conquer Cyprus. Now, the thing with Gaza, again, Israel is fighting a seven-front war. We are undermanned. We do not have people. We do not have enough people. So having America, but again, this will be after Israel militarily destroys Hamas, because America is not going to send boots on the ground. We'll do the fighting. But if President Trump has our back, that'll be wonderful. And don't forget, the Egyptians have all their army massed on the border with Israel. Mm-hmm. And if Trump is there, it's going to deter the Egyptians from attacking us. So the Turks and the Egyptians are the next enemies that Israel will have to face.
Wow. Very interesting what's happening with Syria. And you said that Syria is predominantly now radical Sunni oversight. Yeah, you have Saudi Arabia that's a majority of well, it's mainly Sunni, but has a minority of Shia Muslims. And there have been friendly gestures in the past from Saudi Arabia to Israel. Yet Iran and Russia have an agreement and a pact. What craziness is happening right now, and it's hard to keep track. That's why it's important, folks. If you go to biblicalalliance.com, that's Avi's website. Not only can you get some great teaching materials and such, but you can also support the work. What Avi's doing right now is giving us the word on the ground and the word on the street. BBC is talking about Trump to host Jordan's king after threatening to withhold aid if the Gaza plan is rejected. Uh, Interesting. I've never seen a president so willing to meet with foes or perceived foes. You saw what happened with the leader of North Korea. No president had done that before. And yet Trump seems to have a talent of bringing people together. I pray that he has success with that talent in convincing the Jordan to comply. Very interesting. What have you heard about that in regards to the Gaza plan and the way that it relates to Jordan?
Well, Jordan is petrified. Jordan is very afraid because the population breakdown of Jordan today is either 70% Palestinian or 90% Palestinian. And any influx of Gazans into Jordan could bring about the toppling of the king of Jordan, Abdullah. And then indeed Jordan would be Palestine because they're already 70 to 90%. But the problem with that is we have our longest front, our longest border line is with Jordan. And if the Palestinians take over there, we will be facing an enemy all along the border. So I would say I could understand King Abdullah of Jordan not taking in people from Gaza. In my opinion, I think the perfect solution would be that the Gazans be transferred to Indonesia. Why Indonesia? Indonesia is the biggest Sunni Muslim country in the world. Indonesia is very rich. It has oil.
Mhm.
It has jungles. It has very fertile land, plenty of water. They could easily settle 1 million or 1.5 million Palestinians in Indonesia on one of these or two of these islands. Just give them some islands, help them with infrastructure. They're all Sunni Muslims. They speak a different language, of course. Um, we are on the verge, perhaps, of a war between China and Indonesia. In other words, China will be fighting Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Formosa, and Japan. So if they have another million and a half, I hate to use the word military trained Palestinians living in Indonesia, that will be good for the defense of Indonesia from Chinese invasion. And Indonesia is an ally of the United States, and it's not poor. And these Palestinians would not be threatening the Jews because there are only 20 Jews in all of Indonesia, 200 million Muslims and 20 Jews, because they don't like the
Wow.
Jews in Indonesia either. My second choice after Indonesia would be Malaysia. Now, Malaysia has a lot of Christians, Hindus, and Buddhists, but it is still a Muslim dominated land, also full of islands, full of water and trees and palm trees, and the food is not lacking. And there are no Jews in Malaysia either.
Wow.
So you're wherever you want to send the Palestinians, you have to make sure there are no Jews living there. That's why Palestinians should not be coming to America, Canada, or Latin America, because there are Jews, many Jews, and they'll just come and kill the Jews.
You know, what was Trump's address regarding the Palestinians in Gaza the first time a president has openly suggested resettling the Palestinians? And pointing out the fact that this is now a wasteland due to the necessary operations of Israel to not only root out Hamas, but to destroy their tunnels as well.
Right.
Are the Palestinians so attached to that land, or are they just simply caught in the crossfire, or maybe a little bit of both?
Well, it's not because of the land, and it's not because of the crossfire. It's because it's a religious commandment to destroy Israel
Ah,
and to kill the Jews.
right. That's why
These
it's always been confusing because I thought, wait a minute, if the person you have a treaty with or a peace deal with or a ceasefire with, if their aim in their life is to destroy you, then no amount of concessions, no amount of designated construction, no amount there is no appeasing someone who just simply wants you dead.
right.
And what would you project? What would you expect? To be the reaction of the Palestinians. Trump said, "Yeah, we want to have them nice places to live." And my gosh, most of them have never had it before. But if in their minds this is just simply, the territory that comes with being in a holy war, quote unquote. Some would say, well, the terrorists are hiding behind the Palestinians. Well, you know what? The Palestinians dance in the street when Jews were killed too. So, what do you do with that? And there's a lot of support for Hamas and Hezbollah among the people of Palestine. I shouldn't even say that. There never has been a country. There never has been a currency. And Yasser Arafat, who added a star to a flag, fabricated history that did not exist. But my goodness, any reactions that you've noted from Netanyahu after Trump was talking about that? I mean, he was standing right next to Trump when he was talking about that. So has Netanyahu followed up with those announcements in Israeli media?
I am sure that Netanyahu is working hand in glove with President Trump. And if you ask me personally, I'm in seventh heaven that Trump is president. I voted for him in three elections in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Uh, I, I shouldn't be arrogant, but I feel this is the beginning of the coming or return of the Messiah. This is a tremendous break. The greatest country on earth, the United States of America, is helping Israel to stand on its feet, not with soldiers, just with some very powerful wording by the President of the United States. And because all the Democrats are just bribed by the Saudis. You have Republicans also, like the Bush family, that are bribed.
Oh yeah.
But I think that President Trump is the right man in the right place at the right time in Washington, and Netanyahu is the right person in the right place at the right time in Jerusalem. And so, from that perspective, I sleep very well at night.
Well, we face foes on all fronts. You have the Muslim Brotherhood, who Obama is definitely Muslim Brotherhood. That's Sunni. You have ISIS, which is Sunni. A large uh, part of Saudi Arabia is Sunni. Syria is becoming Sunni as well, and no longer can you say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's just a lot of confusion, mostly based around the hate for Israel and its
Right.
people. But this is what the Bible talked about, folks. And so we should be on alert. We should be at prayer for Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and that
Amen.
God shows his mighty hand yet again. It would be wonderful sometime, Avi, to do a show about the Six-Day War and the miracles, the miraculous supernatural intervention of the God of Israel. But it's so good to see your face. I'm so grateful that you joined us today live from Israel. We love you, Avi, and encourage people to go to biblicalalliance.com. Support the work, support True News. You're getting it right there from Avi Lipkin. Can't wait to see you, my man. Bless you.
Amen. Bless you. Doing God save America.
God save America and God bless Israel.